Damian McCarthy's Oddity has quickly become one of the most talked about horror films of 2024. Known for his unique take on the genre, McCarthy has previously directed several short films, and his debut feature, Caveat, achieved mild success. However, it is Oddity that has truly captured the attention of horror fans and critics alike. The film is distinguished by its strong performances, genuine scares, and a consistent tone that keeps viewers on edge throughout its runtime. Yet, the film's ending leaves some viewers puzzled, questioning the meaning behind its chilling conclusion and the implications for the characters involved. At the heart of Oddity is Ted Timmis, played by Gwilym Lee, a seemingly respectable psychiatrist whose life takes a dark turn after his wife is brutally murdered by a supposed home invader. Before her untimely death, a mysterious man, Taji Murphy, visits their home to warn her of an impending danger. This man's connection to the facility where Ted works raises suspicions, leading many to believe he could be the killer. Ted's reaction to his wife's death is surprisingly composed, leading to questions about his true nature and involvement in the tragedy. Ted's interactions with his wife's twin sister, Darcy Carolyn Bracken, further complicate the narrative. Darcy, who runs a house of oddities filled with artifacts of lore and meaning, is a blind woman with a keen ability to see through people. Despite her seemingly quirky obsession with the supernatural, she proves to be far more perceptive than Ted initially assumes. Ted dismisses Darcy's beliefs as mere delusions, a product of her need for psychiatric help, and views her oddities shop as nothing more than a collection of meaningless trinkets. As the story unfolds, Darcy becomes increasingly convinced that Ted is responsible for her sister's death. Ted, on the other hand, continues to present himself as a rational, level-headed professional oblivious to the depth of Darcy's suspicions. The tension between them builds, leading to a climactic confrontation that reveals the truth about Ted's role in his wife's murder. The final act of Oddity is a masterclass in suspense, gradually peeling back the layers of Ted's facade to expose the monster lurking beneath. As Ted leaves for work one day, Darcy seizes the opportunity to share some unsettling details with Jana, Caroline Menton, Tedaline Menton, Ted's new girlfriend, who has moved into the house where his wife was murdered. Darcy presents Jana with a life-sized wooden man, a peculiar housewarming gift that only deepens Jana's sense of unease. During a tense conversation in the dining room, Darcy recounts the events leading up to her sister's death. She explains how the pieces of the puzzle don't quite fit together, suggesting that another person was present during the murder. The atmosphere becomes increasingly eerie as ghostly images begin to appear throughout the house, pushing Jana to her breaking point. Overwhelmed with fear, Jana flees, leaving Darcy alone to face Ted. When Ted returns home, he finds that the wooden man has inexplicably shifted and Jana is nowhere to be found. Darcy confronts him, accusing him of orchestrating the chaos and revealing her belief that he is responsible for her sister's murder. Ted's calm demeanor crumbles, and he quickly confesses not only to his wife's murder, but also to several other killings. He admits that the mysterious man who visited their home was his accomplice, someone he had met at work and manipulated into helping him. Ted's true nature is fully revealed as he plays a cruel trick on Darcy, exploiting her blindness. He leads her to a dangerous part of the house, far from any means of communication, and taunts her with the promise of a deal if she can reach the telephone. Unbeknownst to Darcy, there is a gaping hole in the floor in front of her. As she attempts to navigate the space, she tragically falls to her death. Ted, believing he has successfully covered his tracks, sends his accomplice to the house to clean up any remaining evidence. However, the accomplice is soon confronted by the wooden man, which springs to life in a terrifying sequence. The accomplice is chased through the house and ultimately killed, leaving Ted to pin the blame on him and escape unscathed. But just when it seems Ted has gotten away with his crimes, the film delivers one final, chilling twist. Ted, now alone in the house, comes across one of the oddities he had previously dismissed, an old bell from a haunted hotel. According to legend, ringing the bell summons a vengeful spirit. In his arrogance, Ted taps the bell, triggering the appearance of a zombified bellhop who closes in on him, ensuring that Ted faces the same horrifying fate as his victim. Oddity is a film that delves deep into the dark recesses of human nature, exploring themes of deception, guilt, and the consequences of one's actions. Ted's character serves as a cautionary tale, illustrating how a person who appears to be trustworthy and honorable can harbor a sinister side. His facade of respectability allows him to manipulate those around him, but in the end his true nature is exposed, and he faces the consequences of his actions. The film's ending is particularly powerful because it ties Ted's fate directly to his character flaws. Throughout the movie, Ted consistently makes the wrong decisions, driven by his arrogance and sense of entitlement. He believes he is untouchable, that he can outsmart those who stand in his way, but this hubris ultimately leads to his downfall. Darcy, who initially seems eccentric and possibly delusional, emerges as the story's true hero. She sees through Ted's lies and devises a plan to bring him to justice, even if it costs her life. Oddity also subverts traditional horror tropes by giving its female characters agency and depth. While Ted is the film's central antagonist, the women in his life are the ones who drive the narrative forward. Yana, Darcy, and Ted's wife are all complex, fully realized characters who challenge Ted's dominance in different ways. Yana is the only one who recognizes the danger and escapes. Darcy uses her intelligence and cunning to confront Ted, and Ted's wife, though deceased, serves as the catalyst for the events that unfold. The film's final moments, with Ted's encounter with the zombified bellhop, serve as a fitting conclusion to the story. It is a moment of poetic justice, where Ted's disregard for the supernatural and his belief in his own superiority come back to haunt him, literally. The bellhop, a manifestation of Ted's guilt and the spirits he has wronged, ensures that Ted cannot escape the consequences of his actions. Oddity is not a straightforward horror film that relies solely on jump scares and gore to frighten its audience. Instead, it is a psychological thriller that challenges viewers to question their perceptions of the characters and their motivations. McCarthy masterfully plays with audience expectations, crafting a narrative that is as much about the psychological games between the characters as it is about the supernatural element. Ted's transformation from a seemingly normal, if slightly aloof, character into a cold-blooded killer is unsettling because it happens so gradually. The film slowly peels away his layers, revealing the darkness within him bit by bit. This gradual shift forces the audience to constantly re-evaluate their opinion of Ted, making the eventual revelation of his true nature all the more shocking. Similarly, Darcy's character arc is a study in how appearances can be deceiving. At the beginning of the film, she is portrayed as an odd, possibly unstable woman, obsessed with the supernatural. However, as the story progresses, it becomes clear that Darcy is the most insightful character in the film. Her obsession with oddities is not a sign of madness, but a reflection of her deep understanding of the world and the people around her. She sees what others cannot, and it is this ability that allows her to unravel the mystery of her sister's death and expose Ted for what he truly is. McCarthy's use of setting and atmosphere further enhances the film's psychological tension. The house where much of the film takes place is filled with eerie artifacts and hidden dangers, creating a sense of unease that permeates every scene. The ghostly images that appear throughout the house serve as reminders of the unresolved trauma that haunts the characters, particularly Ted. These images are not just there to scare the audience, they are symbolic of the guilt and fear that Ted tries to suppress but ultimately cannot escape. Oddity is a film that lingers with the audience long after the credits roll. Its exploration of complex moral dilemmas and its focus on character development over cheap scares make it a standout in the horror genre. By the end of the film, viewers are left with a sense of satisfaction that justice has been served, but also with lingering questions about the nature of evil and the ways in which it can hide behind a mask of normalcy. In conclusion, Damian McCarthy's Oddity is a thought-provoking and unsettling horror film that challenges viewers to look beyond the surface and consider the deeper implications of its story. It is a film that rewards careful attention to detail and a willingness to engage with its psychological themes. For those who appreciate horror that goes beyond the usual tropes, Oddity is a must-watch.